and then we would just go.
Well, I thought we would probably get ready.
Well, we should have gotten ready prior to you hitting the button.
Okay, well, anyways, I think I'm feeling good enough to record this podcast, but we'll see if
The key word is think.
if we can talk without coughing up a lung.
She was sick for what? 3
Well,
to
this
5
has been
days?
actually going on since December 6th, and today's January 2nd.
Right.
But
And
the past 3 days have been extremely awful.
And I was totally fine all the way up until today, this afternoon. I started getting a little
Scratchy throat.
scratchy,
sorta.
itchy, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Yeah.
And now I got a cough.
So, anyways.
You didn't hit pause.
I hit pause. I'm a
No, you
professional.
didn't.
I'm a professional.
I guarantee it. I coughed before you hit
I guarantee
pause.
it. I'm a professional. So, anyways, we're going to try to get...
You're a professional at giving the illusion that you're professional.
Well, then I'm the government.
But anyway, you're going to have to cut that out then.
All right. Anyway, so we're not trying to get through the podcast, like as in we don't want to do it. We want to do it, so we're going to try to get through it. So, anyways, a lot of people, I don't know about
That was
a lot.
a good spin on that anyway.
I don't know if I would use the word a lot, but some people, maybe a handful, a gaggle of people, entered our poll or participated in our poll on Facebook about what topics they wanted to hear about. And the one that most was interested, or the topic they were most interested in was kind of like a little bit of our background that led us to wanting to homestead, what that looks like, and that sort of thing. They were interested in all the topics that we had on there, but this is the one that we're going to cover today since it had the most votes.
But you know as well as I do that we're going to go down one rabbit trail, it's going to lead to another rabbit trail, then we're going to get off the trail.
This is how you do on the trail when we go into the woods too. We will be on a trail, a hiking trail, and then all of a sudden there's no trail. We're going down the cliff on who knows where. Don't know how to get back to any vehicle. But yeah, that's kind of how our life is. And I feel like our actual life has been like that, really.
A little up, a little down, a little
Yeah,
around.
a little all over. We don't take the main path that everybody else takes. We take the rough road.
And it's not really that we choose to do so in some cases. In some cases we do, in other cases we don't, but we still take the more difficult road, it seems like.
Yeah, and both of our lives have very much been like that. So for me, I'll start, I guess, because mine's a little bit of a quicker thing. So we aren't going to go into like our far back history at this moment in this podcast.
Well, you want to tell them when you were born.
Well, I was born in 1986.
You weren't born. You were birthed.
But I'm just saying we're going to go to like our right before we got together history part, because that's what started the whole homesteading thing. Mm-hmm. So before we got together, which we've only been together since last August, technically. No, that don't make any sense. We had Emerald last August.
No doubt. I was going to say, that doesn't even make any sense.
That was stupid. Okay, we've been together almost, this coming up August that we're going to have in 2026 will be 2 years.
October. It was the end of October.
What the hell? I don't know. When did we?
It was
not August. Where am I getting August from?
It was the end of October.
Yeah, it was the end of October when we met in person. But it was August of the year before last when we started talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So we actually met, I'm going to go into that for a quick second. We actually met online on Facebook through a mutual friend. And he messaged me one day when I was traveling and camping and kayaking and whatever. And we just kept talking. Like, I don't think we went one single day without messaging each other, like extensive paragraphs all day long. You know how it is. That. Well, I have evidence.
Oh, you do?
I kept the receipt.
You kept the receipt?
Yeah. You have to keep the receipt. But anyway, so that's kind of like not what I was going to go with this at all at this moment. But before we met, I was working on my mental health very, very deeply because I have struggled with so much stuff, so much trauma throughout my life. And so it just took a toll on me. So I was focused on mental health, and I had actually spent about 4 years before we met where I was off and on traveling solo and camping and doing that, but I was kind of still spiraling out of control and not fully healed yet. So that year before we got together, I had bought a kayak off Facebook Marketplace, and that was a whole game changer for my mental health. So I decided to get this kayak. I decided to pack up my tent, and I hit the road again to go solo traveling and really focus on being in solitude, focus on what I wanted in my life, and just really, truly, deeply heal instead of feeling like I was healing while I was still spiraling. So that's where I was. I was also working on healing my actual physical body from years and years of birth control, like hormones that were all out of whack, and also a cyst on my ovary. So I was really focusing on getting back to eating healthy. There was a time in my life where I went 4 years consecutively where I ate completely soy-free, completely organic, no dairy, no meat. Now, I don't fully feel that we have to be meat-free. That's a whole different subject for a different day. I've come a long ways with a lot of my food thoughts, but that's where I was at that point in my life. And then Dave had his own experience that was kind of similar. I'll let you go into yours.
As far as type 1 diabetes, being diagnosed at 21 years old, and I am 42
I think so.
now.
You're looking like you're asking me.
Well, I was trying to determine where
I
I'm
think
at,
you
'cause
are.
I don't keep track
I
of
don't
time
either.
or anything.
I know we're both similar like that. I don't even know what day of the week it
So,
is or what year we're in half the time.
And furthermore, if we go, that's a whole nother rabbit trail to go
Right.
down. But with the whole calendar thing that they rearranged and changed and all
Yeah,
that
being
stuff,
that this is January 2nd, technically.
I could have been born in 1912 and
Yeah.
and lived 100 years already, and we don't even know that.
Right, exactly, because
Maybe not to that extent, but
maybe not. But anyways, let's stay on topic for a second.
Right.
So type 1 diabetes at age, what did you say, 21?
is when I was diagnosed.
So I'm assuming, when you told me that, I was like, well, shoot, I wonder who in his family had diabetes, or like, how did that happen? Because I thought type 1 was hereditary.
Well, that's what they tell us, that type 1 diabetes is hereditary, but there is nobody on either side of my family history that had type 1 diabetes. So it's impossible for it to be hereditary,
Right.
if nobody on either side of the family has ever had it before. So the only thing that would lead me to believe is that, even though we were Amish, at that time, the
Yes,
Amish...
so one second. If you haven't listened to our first episode and you're new here, Dave grew up Amish, and his family actually left when he was 18. I'm not from the Amish at all. I'm just a regular girl from from North Georgia that claims to be a witch.
Your voice kind of gives you, or
away.
your accent gives you.
Right, but I claim to be a witch. He was ex-Amish. Now go ahead and continue. So yeah, being that you grew up Amish, I would assume that you never had baby shots.
Right, and years ago, like maybe 50, 60, 70 years ago, very few of them did have baby shots, and if they did, it was like maybe 1 or 2 at that time.
Right.
But as time went by, and it started somewhere about the time in the early 80s when they started doing more shots and assuming that it was the right thing to do because some, a figure of authority told them so.
Right.
And so most people were doing it. And of course, they didn't have the information available to them like we do today. When you're scrolling through social media, you see all this information that's readily available that tells us the side effects, that tells us, pretty much everything that we need to know about it.
Exactly.
So therefore, they weren't exposed to that information.
Right. So they didn't even think to do research. I mean, here you are being Amish, and it's like, here comes this authoritative figure, like, oh, you need to get these vaccines because it's going to help you. And you're going to believe them.
Yeah, it's good for your baby.
Now, a lot of people today still think that the vaccines are very beneficial. And this is a super huge controversial topic. I mean, I think we're talking about religion would be easier than talking about vaccines, to be honest. Because people are very strong about their opinion on vaccines. Sorry.
Yeah, there's definitely some pretty strong opinions when it comes to being
so
vaccinated or not
I know
vaccinated.
that's a touchy subject, and we're just talking about our life experiences at the moment.
But I've
also been in the room with you with a doctor a medical doctor, a licensed doctor, that also agreed that they felt that your type 1 diabetes could have came from the shots.
Right.
So there are some doctors in the medical field that are licensed, that are working right now, that would agree to supporting this statement. So it's not like we're just throwing out some random bullshit.
Right.
But I do know that it's a touchy subject. I know that I have family members of my own that are pro-vaccine. I love them with all of my heart. It's just a subject that we just kind of avoid.
Don't lie. You don't
I do love them.
But no.
But it is something that's still being researched. And I think the independent research is probably, what is more needed, because what people don't realize is a lot of the research stuff is coming from the actual government that's pushing the stuff to make people sick and that's a whole other rabbit
and
hole.
imagine, and here's a little runny-nosed Amish boy, or one that grew up Amish, that already knows this BS.
Right.
Not because I'm so much more intelligent than everyone else is, but apparently somewhere along the line I was paying attention to things that other people weren't paying attention to. And when we were children, we used to play the game Connect the Dots. And so I just carried that into my adult life and started connecting the dots. How all these things are working together, how all these industries and that are claiming that they're there for our benefit.
Right,
our
how they're all
and,
helping each other.
Right, how they're all helping each other toxify, poison, and just all of the things that we actually don't want in our lives. That's what they're doing. They're working behind the scenes. It's like the biggest mafia in world history.
Exactly.
Our government.
The government.
The medical industry, our
government, the medical industry,
what's the other one?
The religion. But we're not talking about a spirituality deep connection. We're talking about organized religion that's done as a business. We're talking about the medical industry, the food industry.
Basically all of them.
Well, organized religion, yes, right. But there is a different thing of spirituality where it's a different connection. It's a different thing,
right?
100%. But anyways, we're talking about the medical industry, the food industry, the government, the organized religion, all of that being one umbrella, which we touched on that a good bit in our first episode when we were supposed to be talking about ourselves a little bit. But that is something that we're passionate about, and the way it all ties into homesteading, it makes a lot of sense, because if you're talking about homesteading, to me and to you, it's about doing things as organically as you can. It's about doing things as sustainable as you can. And yes, there are times where the medical industry is needed. I've depended on them twice this past year. And obviously with your type 1 diabetes, well, not your type 1 diabetes, but the type 1 diabetes. It's definitely
not my type 1 diabetes.
Yeah, we're not trying to claim anything that we don't want, because what you claim is what you have. But with the type 1 diabetes situation, obviously the medical industry has been needed. So we're not saying that it's all bad. We're saying that it's not all good.
Okay, right, exactly. And what's the other thing that we're supposed to say when we're making claims?
Well, we're obviously not professionals. Right. I mean, I am. I'm a professional
we are
pauser whenever you sneeze.
But here's the thing. What's the word that people use?
We're not a medical professional.
We're not a medical professional, but there's another word that goes with that, or whatever, that basically takes the
we're not taking any kind of responsibility. This is all
and since we're since we went viral a couple days ago,
with our 10 followers,
we really have to be cautious as far as what kind of claims that we make.
Right.
And so we're not making any claims.
No, we're just telling our experiences in our life. People can take with it what they want, and that's all that is. I mean, we're not trying to...
Right.
We're not trying to persuade anybody to not get vaccinated. We're not trying to persuade somebody whatever.
If somebody wants to get vaccinated, go get the other 12 or 30 or 50 that they have for you. Realistically, that doesn't necessarily affect my life that much. It's more than likely going to affect your life. It's more than likely going to affect your children's life.
And we're not trying to get on a soapbox of that now. But
we already are on a soapbox.
But when you...
That was too many buts.
Well, I'm trying to say something.
No,
when you experience type 1 diabetes, because I've been here with you experiencing this for almost 2 years, and it's not fun. I mean, it's terrible. You were in a coma, as a matter of fact. Before that was what we was going to talk about. Before we got together, a year before we got together,
Yeah.
you had been in a coma for 11 days?
Something like that.
And I don't think you realize the extent of what that did to you, because your mom told me.
Oh, I messed up.
Yeah, I mean it.
I'm messed up
So
mentally, literally, physically.
I mean, it did exhaust you mentally. I mean, to the extreme. And when you've experienced something that bad and that, life changing, I don't know why I do that.
What did you do?
I slobber on myself when I'm talking. But when you experience something like that life changing and that detrimental, and I mean, it impacts your life on a daily basis. And you think
it does if you let it.
Well, what I'm saying, right? But what I'm saying is, it does impact you to some degree,
right?
And you think it's coming from a vaccine, then obviously you're going to be very passionate about how you feel towards that.
100%.
Because you don't want someone else to experience that.
No, hell no. I don't want anyone else to experience what I've experienced in my life, because it's been pure hell. It's been pure hell for the most part.
I mean, it's affected your memory. You've had to work on that.
My memory is as sharp as a tack.
Well, it is.
Is a tack sharp or is it dull? I guess
it depends on how much it's been used.
but
I mean, your mom. Okay, so we met online, like I said. We talked for a few months every single day. We only talked on the phone, though. Heard each other's voice once before we met. We ended up meeting in Kentucky because I was in Michigan solo kayaking and camping and blah, blah, blah. And then I was going to go to Florida for the winter because I wasn't going to be up north for the winter, because obviously you're camping. I don't want to be up north. So that was my plan. But then we started talking. He messaged me one night, and I remember exactly where I was. And you messaged me, and I'm like, oh, here comes this fool trying to get in my messages. Mm-hmm. But I was kind of bored. And
I was pretty foolish.
And we started talking, and you were just fascinating to me. Like, I never looked at your Facebook. I really don't know what the heck you had ever posted about.
It's a good thing you didn't.
It probably is a good thing I didn't, because I would have probably been freaked out. Yeah. But I didn't really know anything about you other than I saw you popping up, here and there on stuff. But I didn't know that you were Amish or had been Amish. I didn't know about the type 1 diabetes. I didn't know really anything except for what you had messaged me, and we started talking. We had a real connection immediately, I feel like. Like, we talked and talked and talked, just texting each other. And we had so much stuff in common. And then we did that for, I think, like 3 months. And then we finally met in person. But he was living in Ohio with his mom, recovering from being in that coma and trying to get his health back on track and all of that stuff. And I was working on my mental health and my physical health. And then we started talking, and so he was in Ohio, I was in Michigan. I was going to go down south, and I was like, well, hey, I could stop in Kentucky for a little bit if you want to meet. And so that's what we did. So he met me in Kentucky. It turned out to be a complete disaster of a shitstorm. We had fun, but it was a disaster. It was starting to get really cold. We didn't have any kind of prep for that at all, like cold camping prep in any sort of way. So that was a bit of a challenge. So we ended up going and staying together at his mom's house, which that was also a little bit of a challenge because we're not married and we had just got together, and with her Amish background, it was a little difficult for her, but she opened up her arms and let me in, and we ended up becoming really close. So I was grateful for that. I got cold chills. I didn't miss your mom. But yeah, we ended up having a really good bond. And so it was really good that happened. I feel.
Yeah,
so
it was.
I don't know why I'm about to cry.
I don't know.
Why am I getting emotional?
You're an emotional fruit basket.
Yeah, but why? Why am I about to cry?
You're allowed to.
That's so weird. I was just talking about your mom. Literally, I'm over here about to cry. I don't know what's happening right now.
Probably because we haven't seen her in
I know.
like 2 or 3 months.
I'm going to pause. What in the world? But, okay, I'm good now. Apparently I miss his mom. We did have a really good connection. We really talked about all kinds of things, and she helped me through stuff that I was struggling with too. So anyways.
Is that even recording?
Yeah. It is, babe. It's moving.
Okay, my bad. I'm
So
not a tech savvy.
we might have to redo this whole episode. I think I've destroyed it. I don't know why I just all of a sudden got emotional. I honestly cannot tell you what was going on.
Well,
But
now she's awake.
anyways, okay, so we stayed with his mom for about a year, and then I mean we loved it there, but obviously, we
We wanted to do our own thing.
yeah, I
It's that
mean we
simple.
ended
I
up
mean, we're at the age that we're at, and we obviously
and then we had a
wanted-
baby, which was not planned exactly because you didn't know that you could even have a baby. So since I was
Oh,
trying
I
to,
knew I could have a baby.
well,
I did. I mean, sure. If you go according to the medical doctors, if you go according to what they tell you,
Right.
then yes, then it
but
would
I
have
guess
looked
in
pretty,
your heart and soul, you
right.
knew that it was
It
possible.
looked pretty bleak as far as a type 1 diabetic being able to have a child.
Right,
Which which I didn't have.
And considering
had
that
it.
you were at the age that you already were at 40,
I'm like 55.
then
I mean, well,
at 40,
right.
at the time that it happened. So it was kind of like, okay, I'm trying to heal my body from, all the hormone imbalances and the birth control and all of that hoopla. So then you thought,
Then I
well,
thought my seed had expired. and
right.
was not
So
gonna
we thought we
anymore.
were fine. So then, surprise, here's our little sweet emerald. But
Hello.
anyway, so that's that. And hold on a second. Okay, so we're going to get to a point where we talk about the whole homesteading thing and how all of this ties together. But first, let's talk about that coma that you were in, because an 11-day coma is pretty severe. Like, most people wouldn't just brush over that.
Well, I don't think that I was in a coma for 11 days. Who knows? Maybe I was. But
Well, you were in the
I
hospital
was in the hospital for
11 days.
11 days. Now, whether I was in a full coma or not for 11 days, I highly doubt it, because I remember the last 2-3 days anyway. I think.
Okay, right.
I think I do. Whatever. But the point being is that I had years ago, when I was first diagnosed with diabetes, I immediately went to eating a lot healthier. So I tried to avoid which I wasn't really eating a lot of fake foods anyway. And at that point, I had started getting away from all fast food meals for the most part, like the McDonald's, Wendy's, all that type of stuff. And so I went the opposite direction of what many people were doing. So I ate as healthy as I knew how to at the time. And I kept doing that for probably, well, really from that point forward I did. But there were times when I, went back to
Eating out or something.
right, eating out more, and but in restaurants, like restaurants that supposedly have better food, but who the hell knows these days. So I did that, and things seemed to be going pretty decent for the first 5-6 years after that. But then about 5-6 years into it, things got quite a bit worse. And I just went, of course I was in a relationship at the time, which, whatever. It wasn't a very good relationship. And so that put a lot of stress on me. And of course, when you have something like diabetes, stress is your worst enemy.
See, I didn't know that until we got together, and I started noticing when you got really stressed out, your sugar would get all out of whack.
Right.
So I started trying to pay attention to like what affected you and minimize that as much as I could. But yeah, I did not know that stress impacted it.
Which now, stress, as far as what I've been able to do with my health since that happened,
Right.
my stress doesn't bother me nearly as much as it once did.
Right.
So
Because now
anyway,
you're about 2 years outside of the coma
Right.
experience, whereas when we first got together, it was only
like
a year.
right.
Yeah.
So, I made even more improvements after the coma. I made even more improvements. Matter of fact, I was on watermelon.
Well, I thought watermelon wouldn't be good for a diabetic.
Oh well, that's what the doctors tell you,
Right.
but it actually is.
Well, I know that,
Yeah.
of course, but I'm just
So that's what they told me was to
Right.
stay away from.
And you did organic seeded watermelon. Always do the seeds as much as you possibly can, because that's where most of the nutrients are.
And I ate fish. So
Wild caught.
Right, but I would say that the vast majority of my diet consisted of, I'd say, I don't know, 60-70% of my diet was watermelon.
Yeah.
And garden raised other,
Right. And you did farm eggs and stuff like that, right? Like raw
Right.
eggs and stuff.
So
But you were eating clean, like you weren't eating sugar-free donuts
exactly.
whatever the heck, all
Right.
this processed stuff.
No, realistically, I stayed away from sweets, any type of sweets, as much as I could, unless I had to raise my blood sugar.
Right.
And then sometimes I had to eat a lot of
Right.
sweets just
Which
to get
that's
it back
why I
up
do
again.
a lot of baking, is so that you have something organic made at home instead of having to depend on a Little Debbie or something.
Exactly.
But we do know that you can eat like a banana or something like that and raise your blood sugar. It don't have to be a baked good, but we're
Right.
also human.
Well, it's not just that part of it. It's also, yeah, I mean, you can get different things like that. But then when you get fruits that are out of season,
Right.
you can tell it doesn't taste,
Right.
to me anyway, I can tell the difference. It just doesn't taste as good.
But that is part of the reason why I do more of the baking. You also, when we first got together, I remember when I met you in Kentucky, you had like cataracts on your eye. I don't even really know what that is, but now they're almost all the way gone. Like I can't even, sitting right here across this little table from you, I honestly cannot even see it.
Well, I know they have minimized by about 3/4 less than what they were. So I had I don't even really know how to say how big it was. I mean, it was
It was
pretty
a good
sizable
size.
in my left eye. It's a pretty sizable cataract. It was, and in my right eye, it was also very noticeable. And so anyway, as I did the mostly fruit diet, I had it was fruits and it was other things. I'd have to go back and really get into that. It wasn't a lot of other things that I did, but there
It was
were
just
some.
real whole
Right.
foods, like real food.
So
It was, you could read all the ingredients. You knew exactly what it was.
And so doing that for almost a year is what has reduced both cataracts. The one cataract almost doesn't even exist anymore. The one in the left eye is probably 3/4 reduced from what it was. So I know beyond the shadow of a doubt that what I did has definitely made a huge improvement with my health.
Oh, absolutely. And I've even noticed a lot of changes since we've been together too,
Right.
and your health improving.
Right. And I at one point there I was dumber than a box of rocks. But
Whatever.
now with what I
Oh,
did,
you mean as far as knowledge on what to eat?
no, I
and-
was just stupid.
Shut up.
And so anyway, with eating those fruits, I believe mostly fruits. I mean, there were other things.
Yeah,
that I
I
ate,
mean,
but
your mom would make you some homemade ice cream. Don't tell me you didn't get into
Yeah,
it.
I did.
Yes, I know you did.
I did.
Her homemade ice cream is one of your favorite things.
Now I get into a coughing fit.
Oh.
But anyway, yeah, I did. There were things that I did.
But
eat
it
like
just
that,
wasn't
but
on a daily basis
No,
like
it
most
wasn't.
diabetics do.
It
I know
wasn't.
my grandmother had type 2 diabetes. Yeah, and she would just go to town on like Mayfield ice cream, which is full of all kinds of junk.
Well,
Or she would go to town on just, Little Debbie's or just all these little snacks that are processed to death. So, yeah, it's okay to have, treats here and there, desserts here and there, but try to do it as organic and clean where you know what
Right.
the ingredients are, because there is a huge difference.
Well, truth be told, and this is not knocking anyone else that has type 1 diabetes in any way, shape, or form. This is merely the experience that I've had interacting with type 1 diabetics over the years that I've had it for. Because up until the point where I had it, I didn't know that it existed. I think I did know that
You
it existed,
probably
but it wasn't
barely thought
right.
about it, yeah.
It wasn't something that I even really thought about much. But then, as I was diagnosed with it, moving forward over the years, I have met so many different type 1 diabetics. And the one thing that I noticed with all of them, I don't think that I've seen any of them that were, pretty much all of them were 30 pounds to, a couple 100 pounds overweight.
Right.
And which again, it's not something that I'm
You're
saying,
not boasting about
right,
it or
exactly,
something. Or,
exactly. All I'm saying is the route that I chose to take has saved my eyes.
it saved your life.
It saved my eyes. It saved my life, and it also what was that? What was I gonna the point that I just made about
with your
it must not have saved my memory because I just
Well, that's
forgot
what
what I was
I've
going to
been-
talk about.
Well, I do know like the coma or whatever did impact that some, but
It
I
did
do
some,
see it
but-
improving. I do see it improving a lot.
No,
But yeah, I mean, it did say like you're talking about your weight and other diabetics.
exactly. So yeah, it has improved the cataracts in my eyes significantly. and it has, as far as the weight goes, I am maybe at this point. I'm maybe
You're exactly where you should be. I
no,
would say you're
no.
not
I've
over.
got 5 to 8 pounds.
I would disagree, but that's my
I do
personal
have 5 to 8 pounds
preference.
I could lose. Yeah, I know you would disagree with that, but the truth of the matter is, there's a fistful of fat in my midsection. So,
Well, I've got more than that.
well, I mean, I'm just saying that,
No, I,
and it comes from more than likely the being inflamed, because that's where I have to shove the needle in
right.
all the time, or I can do it in the arm. But the point is, when you put that kind of toxic bullshit into your body,
He's talking about the insulin if
the
you're
insulin,
not.
right?
Not
Then
sure.
you're going to probably experience some inflammation in that area.
Right.
So my
Yeah,
guess
because I
is
do know whenever you're doing on your arm or whatever, there'll be a knot and
right,
stuff, and
right.
yeah.
So
So,
anyway, go for it.
I know that has impacted your life tremendously and has shaped a lot of your viewpoints on what you eat. I mean, because if you'd never had that, you probably would still be
Yeah,
a
I
little
mean,
bit more flexible.
I would probably
Maybe,
be
maybe not.
quite a bit more flexible. I don't know that for certain, because it's not like we grew up eating total garbage. A
Right.
lot of it was homemade stuff, you
Right.
know. So, but even that, even the homemade stuff, uh, within the Amish community, and even today, is way worse than it was back when I was growing up Amish,
Right.
because back then we even used genetically modified seeds.
Right. Well,
So,
now, I mean, a lot of the Amish baked goods, you read the package and you might as well just be buying a Little Debbie.
for the most part,
I mean,
for the most part.
unless it comes from their actual home or something, maybe.
Well, even that. I mean, a lot of them
They're using,
have compromised so much
yeah.
on their bacon. And I'm not saying
We're not knocking
no,
anyone. We're not.
but
We're just
what I am
saying,
trying to say is that a lot of the ways that the Amish have started baking in and with the products that they're using, a lot of that isn't that much different. Now, it might taste better. It might have
right,
a better
because they made
flavor,
it
better
right
taste.
there instead of it being in a factory.
Right. And it's not. There's something about something homemade that can still, even though it might have some of the same ingredients in it,
It's
it's
still
still
better.
right. It's still
Tasting.
flavor wise, it still tastes better
Right.
than something that was made out of the Little Debbie hellhole.
Right.
So that's the point that I'm trying to make.
So, I bet people are probably wondering how the heck this has to do with homesteading and all of that. So, obviously, homesteading to us, well, it might not be obvious, but to us, it's about being sustainable, about being organic, about being clean, about caring about the environment, caring about ourselves. That's all homesteading to me. Like, it's about being independent and as much in power over your own self and your own territory as you can. To me, that's what homesteading is. It's about your freedom.
Right.
Your freedom with your food, your freedom with, what you're doing, all of that kind of stuff. So it all goes together because obviously both of us care a lot about mental health, about our physical health, our spiritual health, all of that. And when you're homesteading, that's what your focus is. You're focusing on growing your own food. Right. You're focusing on what you're doing, like your home life. And that's super, super important. So when we was in Ohio at his mom's for that year, we decided, she encouraged us. She's like, just put a garden in if you want to. Go ahead and get your feet wet with what, you want to do. And so we didn't even have a clue what the heck we was doing. But Dave decided to go all out. And I'm going to put pictures on our Facebook. And I'll put, this is going to be uploaded on Spotify and all the podcast platforms. But we also have it on our YouTube channel, Our Untamed Roots, where you can see video clips of the garden and all of that. But so that's what we did. We got chickens. He built a chicken coop, and we got, how many chickens did we get? Like 30?
It was around 30, but ended up being more like,
well, it dwindled down because some stuff happened.
Right, some stuff happened, and
but yeah, we got our feet wet. No idea what the heck we was doing. Even though he grew up Amish, he had never had a garden on his own outside, and he had left right at 18. So, anyways, I had never grew anything in my life because I don't have a green thumb at the moment, but we're working on that. But so he did this big old plot, and And then we just decided to do as much stuff as we could in that space as organic. Every single seed, we started everything from seed except for the potatoes, came from seed, organic, heirloom. And that garden was spectacular. I mean, some stuff didn't work.
Well,
some stuff didn't.
It looked visually.
It was gorgeous.
It was very pleasing to the eyes, but we overplanted.
We very much overplanted.
And so a lot of the stuff didn't necessarily. There was too many things that were pulling nutrients from each other.
Because we went crazy with the watermelon. Yeah. And I just had to have pumpkins for Emerald, even though she was going to be a newborn, but still. So anyways.
Instead of planting one pumpkin,
we planted a bazillion. But we still have 6 of them in here to... But, so that's how it all ties together with homesteading. Like, that's why we're so passionate about it. We want to be in control of our health. We want to be in control of our home life and, like, what we're doing. We want to be as sustainable on our own as we can. And we truly have a passion for, reducing trash. Like, we're cloth diapering her and just being more aware of what we're doing, like what our actions are putting out into the world. And that's something I've never really... It's not that I didn't ever think about it. I always did, but I didn't really think too far into what I was doing and how it was impacting people around me and, the environment. So that's something that we've both really been focusing on over the past few years too. Is just being more aware about all that stuff. But it's about, just being more in control of our own selves.
Exactly. And so all of that does play together. It works together. It fits together. And I'd like to connect the dots game. There's dots that we need to connect in life, and all this stuff connects in one way or the other. Either we live through our subconscious, and we're not really consciously living. So when we live through our subconscious, we just go through the motions of life,
just doing whatever we're programmed to do.
So we might end up chucking plastic bottles and whatnot out the window when we're driving down the road. Or
hopefully, we're not subconsciously doing that.
No, but there are a lot.
No, I know there are a lot of people that do that.
So anyway, the point being is that living consciously. When we're coming from a state of living subconsciously, it doesn't necessarily feel good to walk into the conscious part of life, because then we have to face things. We have to be aware of things. Mm-hmm. And when we're living subconsciously, for example, there's many different ways of living subconsciously. And one way is we believe everything the government tells us. Another thing
when your subconscious self is taking the reign, you are literally
we can be led around by all the different industries, organizations. Mm-hmm. And so therefore we've got the government that does that. When we live subconsciously, the government becomes our daddy.
Programmer. Yeah,
they become our daddy, our baby daddy.
Your baby daddy.
It doesn't matter how old we are, they're still our baby daddy. If we're living subconsciously, that's what ends up happening. The government lives our life for us and tells us what we can and cannot do. And the same goes for the churches. It's the same principle for the churches. They do it the same way, but they have a little different ways of going about doing, more subtle ways of going about doing it. So,
and it's not that it's not the preachers in the church are on purpose doing that. Sorry, my throat. They're not on purpose doing that.
Well, we don't know that for sure.
Most of them probably aren't.
There's some of them that aren't. But by this
because I know plenty of preachers that genuinely want to help. They genuinely think that they're speaking the truth. They genuinely care.
I'm not saying that there's not those out there. There
are the mega churches that are money based, and it's just a business.
Here's the point. They all have social media, just like you and I for the last 20 years now. Okay, 15, 20 years at least. So they see all the same things that we see. Or most of the things that we see.
Right, so you would think that they're questioning these things.
And if they're not questioning it, guess what? Then the pastor himself or herself is living in their subconscious. They're not.
Well, I'm not saying they're not living in their subconscious.
They're not actually living consciously.
No. I'm not saying they're not living in their subconscious. What I'm saying is I don't think they're intentionally spreading misinformation.
Well,
most of them.
Look at it this way. If you're one of those that is getting a salary to do
Yeah,
your
the
job.
mega churches are different. The ones driving around in a helicopter.
Well, some right, but some of the they're not really driving around; they're flying
Babe,
around.
shut up.
But anyway, it's not just the mega churches. There are also smaller churches that the pastor is getting a salary for.
I agree.
So the point is, when you pay someone, and it's not that I'm against paying someone. It's
right.
not that I'm
because
against that.
if we were to start,
it's
a
not that I'm
spiritual
against
church,
that. But what ends up happening in a lot of those cases is when people start getting paid. Then they shut up.
Astronomical amount,
right?
Yeah, and then
not
they're
just
not,
astronomical.
and then also they're not speaking.
Some
the
of
truth.
them, if they just get paid enough just to get by,
right,
they will still not speak the full truth because they don't want to offend anyone because it'll take away from their lifestyle.
Right.
Even if they're living kind of an average shitty lifestyle, it'll still impact that.
Yeah.
And they don't want that lifestyle to be impacted. So therefore, they have one of two choices: either you speak the truth on full blast, and you get fired. So now you don't have that income
Which
to
I don't know
rely
who
on
would
anymore.
fire you from your own church.
Oh, there's plenty of people. They have a board. They have
I did not
They have
realize that.
yeah. They have like the deacons. It depends on what.
Yeah.
Depends on
we
what
had a
denomination.
preacher when I was growing up on
Or
my
non-denominational.
on my mom's side. My parents divorced when I was a year old. So I had split families or whatever. But when I was at my mom's, we would go to one church. Sometimes we never went to church consistently throughout my life. It was always, whenever.
Right.
But
sporadically, whenever there was guilt involved. Then
well, we're not
went to
throwing
church.
my family under the bus.
No.
I don't know that it was necessarily guilt. But my dad came from Cuba, so that's a totally different ballgame.
Right.
In Cuba, you're not allowed to even mention God. I remember my dad telling me a story. I'm sorry I keep coughing. We might have to just re-record this. But I remember when I was a kid, my dad told me that I think it was he had asked something at school about a Bible or about God or something. He literally got kicked out of school and sent home. He got in trouble. Right. So coming from that background and then coming over to the U.S. as a 16-year-old that don't know English, don't have anything literally but the clothes on your back, and then a church is helping you.
Right.
There is good that comes from these things. And so, of course, my dad wanted to...
We don't have any visual effects on this audio, do we?
We don't have visual effects.
Because it's about this much good that they do.
Babe.
But anyway.
Well, it depends on the impact it has on the person. And
it depends. It varies among the denominations and among the non-denominationals. It does vary.
And a lot of it could be done differently. But that was why my dad wanted to try to take us to church. Because he wanted us to be... I wish I could quit coughing. He wanted us to be around, people that care, a supportive community, because that's what he needed when he came over here. That. He needed community. He didn't have...
When you're that beat into the ground,
right?
And
we're all looking for something at some point in our lives.
Same experience I had.
Exactly.
Coming out of the
Amish.
You're so beat into the ground that anybody that gives you a smile.
Exactly.
They could give you a smile and at the same time be taking your wallet out of your back pocket and you wouldn't even know.
Right, because at some point in all of our lives, we are looking for something outside of ourselves because we need something to help us get through.
Exactly.
And so in those times,
we get taken advantage of with a lot of these industries, a lot of these organizations. Yeah. We get taken advantage of because we are in a place where we need help, we need advice, we need guidance, right? And therefore, we're too susceptible to giving into authoritative figures, right? So to speak.
Now, what I was trying to say though, before I got off the rails, is when I was at Mom's, sometimes we would go to this one church, and that preacher, because I was saying I didn't know preachers could be fired. He actually was. Fired from his church for being an alcoholic. But this preacher, to this day, I would love to, maybe we could get him on the podcast. That would actually be interesting. I don't know if he'd be into it, but I'm not going to say his name or anything right now. But he was very, very open-minded. I remember talking to him about stuff that I was questioning as a teenager. I didn't go into too much because I didn't really want to push the thing too much, when I was young. But he was very open-minded. You could talk to him about anything. And if he didn't know the answer, he would just tell you that he didn't know.
What did you say his name was?
I'm not going to say his name on public. I mean, because we went viral,
Right, exactly.
But, so not all preachers are bad or trying to push a negative thing, and not all church is bad. Not all of it is bad, is what I'm saying.
No,
it's the organized religion. It's the construct of it and the suppression of.
I fully acknowledge that there is good that can come from those churches. There's good that can come from them, but it's like a placebo effect. What ends up happening
because they're spreading information of fear God, of
if you don't ask for forgiveness for sin.
Right, you're sinful. You have to find all the answers from outside of yourself. They're not really promoting the inner work that needs to be done. They're not, to my knowledge, from my experience.
They're not.
Maybe some of these people listening go to a church that does. I don't know.
There probably are some.
I'm sure some. There's exceptions to everything.
I went to like 500 million different denominations.
And I have too throughout my life. I've been to several different types of churches. I've been to several. I've done the whole thing too.
And I can't name one that really
me neither.
Truly did.
All of them were fear-based. They all made you feel unworthy. This is my experience, y'all, so don't come at me. Well, come at me if you want to. I don't care. This is how I'm still going to stand on where I stand. But they made me feel insuperior, like I was never good enough, like I had to just constantly beg to be accepted, is how I felt. Like I was not worthy of being loved just how I am. I had to be conditioned. It's conditional love is what it was. And to me, that's not what I'm about. Like, I don't want that in my life. Like, I don't want that. I feel like we should be learning about inner love, inner strength, not fearing God or the creator of the universe, but building a relationship with that.
Well, it's like this. If we go with the example of, okay, we have to fear God not to sin. There's a verse in the Bible somewhere that talks about that. Okay, but then it also has another verse stating that there is no fear in love, or something to that effect.
Right, something
There's
like
no
that.
Fear. So it's like
love is fearless or something.
It's like a whole controversial statement.
And that's the thing.
One verse says one thing,
though.
and then
so much of religion is controversial. If you read the Bible, it's contradicting itself all in it.
Mm-hmm.
So much about the government stuff is contradicting. So much about the food industry is contradicting. And yes, all of this goes back to homesteading because it's about being your own unique whole self.
Exactly. And we can't necessarily do that if we are, like we were talking about earlier, like if we're living subconsciously. So everything that the matrix, that the world, that whatever we want to call that thing that's out there that has presidents and governments and all that stuff.
Yeah, that part of the world.
Right. If we want to talk about that world, okay, and we're in that world, we're living that world, that lifestyle. Okay, so then that lifestyle is programming us to live out of our subconscious awareness, which isn't really awareness at all.
Right, you're just going through the motions.
You're going through the motions.
You're going to work, punching in.
Exactly.
You're coming home with your achy back and just half-ass making a
I
crap
even do
dinner.
that sometimes consciously.
Right.
Consciously aware. I still have a...
Yeah, but you also pick up heavy stuff all the time.
Well, sometimes.
But then you're coming home, you're making a dinner that's probably not the best, and then... you're just going through the motions. Well, not you. You cooked dinner really good the other night, actually.
I was going to say, you're the one that cooks most of the dinners.
Well, that dinner you made the other night was really good. But I'm just saying, people are generally going to work, working their 9 to 5, going home,
Right.
Just, they're going through the motions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Waking up to their alarm clock.
And that's what happens.
And that's the whole point of homesteading, is to be independent of all of that. Sure, you might have to wake up at a certain time and let the chickens out, but that's what you want to do.
Exactly.
You're doing what you love.
You're doing what you love to do. And that's where we're trying to get to, even though we're on our way to that place.
Right, because we're still
I shouldn't even say it, because we have to live in the present.
Yeah.
We can't live in the past or the future, so we have to live in the present.
We didn't even talk about where we are right now. So we're no longer in Ohio. So what happened is we loved being there with his mom and stuff, but obviously we had a baby. Obviously, we're wanting to have our home life, together, like our own home life or whatever, and accomplish the goals that we have as a couple. And so Dave had this wild ass idea, and I was totally against it to begin with. But this is one thing about our relationship. We do try, because we both have learned from our past very well. So we both try to hear each other out. Sometimes I get a little riled up for a minute, but we try to hear each other out on each other's ideas.
I calm her down with a frying pan to the head. No.
What the heck?
Oh, sorry.
He does not. So anyways, We do try to hear each other's opinions and ideas out. So when he brought this whole crazy thing to me, I was like freaking out on the inside. I'm not going to lie. But he got on Facebook on one of those homesteading, looking for help groups or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm inside my inside body. I was trying to keep it cool, but I was like, hell no, we're not doing that. You have lost your damn mind. I'm not doing it. We just had a newborn baby. But he did, some lady reached out to him. Then she was some lady. Now she's not some lady. But then it was some lady had reached out to him. And I'm like, good Lord, of course it was a lady. All these thoughts are going through my head, I'm like, of course they're going to be flirting. And I had all the, how women are.
Mm-hmm. I know how women
I'm going to throw women under the bus. I'm a woman. I can throw us under the bus.
I know how women
My brain is just rapid fire like fireworks. This is the shittiest idea I've ever heard in my life. Emerald was just born.
You thought we were entering a polygamous group.
I did. I even told you at one point, I said, there's no way in heck I'm doing like a two-way thing with another couple. I was like, I don't know what this is about, but I'm not interested.
Technically, that would be 4 ways.
Whatever. I was just, all these thoughts were going in my head. But we in our relationship, we do try to hear each other out before we go nuts.
Try.
Well, it's more trial my effort. You fully, I can do whatever I want to, and you're gonna support it. Pretty much.
For the most part.
But me, I have to calm myself down.
I mean, if you start, I was going to get into something else,
right.
But it's not worth it.
But you're very good at letting me be me without judging anything.
Right.
You know what I mean?
On Facebook,
I'm having to do a lot of work on that because I'm reactive. I want to just instantly, and I know that about me. And that's something I've really been trying to work on a lot. So I heard you out. I was like, okay, I'm going to calm down. I'm going to hear you out. You told me all the stuff that she said. They had a farm up here in New York. I'm like, New York? What in the heck? Because to me, New York just sounds like New York City. So, which I knew there was country parts of New York, but I'd never seen too much of it. So I'm just like, trying to hear all this. It sounded perfect, actually. And I'm like, okay, now it sounds too good to be true. So I said, well, let me just message her myself and see what vibe I get. We hit it off instantly. Me and this lady, her name is Jessica. Which is my sister's name actually too. So anyways, we hit it off instantly. Everything that I asked her, she had the perfect answer for. So then I started having the opposite feeling. I'm like, well, now it's too good to be true. There's no way this is going to work. So they had a little homestead up here. The house had an apartment attached. So we'd have our own apartment. We could do whatever we want to on the property. We would talk about it, with them, but they were open to us pretty much doing whatever we want and having our visions come true too. And they have 3 little boys and whatever. And she already was running a bakery and all this kind of stuff that I want to do and get into and learn about. And they have goats and they have chickens. So we could come up here and just kind of do like exchange work to be here. So it sounded perfect. And we didn't think we'd be able to do it. But anyways, that's pretty much what we're doing. So after talking about it a lot, we did some FaceTime videos with the family. We really connected with them. I was super shocked. And then we get up here. So we rented a U-Haul. We, did all that stuff. We moved up here. Actually, we got here on Halloween. Mm-hmm. And the family is absolutely incredible. Like, I don't think that you could possibly have a situation that we were in, like, not knowing them, not knowing much. We only did that one. We only did the one FaceTime video. We didn't do several.
Exactly.
But we did talk to them a good bit. And then we get here and they are just the most kindest people ever. So it's just worked out pretty perfect as far as that goes. It's not the whole vision that we want because we do want more land for bigger ideas that we have. But to get ourselves here and be able to help another family and they're helping us and we're learning and they're learning and we're growing together. Of course, it's wintertime now, so we haven't really got to do too much yet, but we're going to put up a greenhouse and do different things. And I think that for me, doing it with another family is really helpful for me personally because I'm very stuck on, I'm going to do everything myself. So having community is what I want to focus on this year. Right. I've always struggled with teamwork. I've always struggled with letting people in. I've always struggled with trusting people. So I feel like 2026 is like the year I want to focus on letting people be in my life more.
Right. Makes sense.
And homesteading is really, really hard to do. as a couple on your own. Like a lot of homesteaders have communities that they have that help them. Like other homesteaders, they trade off, different things and stuff like that. So I feel like
So even
everything just ties together.
So even if they're separate homesteads and they're helping each
Yeah.
other out, then it's
A
still
lot of
kind
them
of
will
like a community.
I've read like plenty of times where like one like this homestead, they'll grow all of the corn,
Right.
and then this one will grow all of the squash or whatever. And they just trade off, like they'll trade off what they're doing.
Right.
So homesteading really is about building community a lot of times, because when you're trying to separate yourself from most mainstream society, you still want community.
Well, most of the people that are doing what we're talking about doing aren't necessarily part of the subconscious community.
Right, they're more in their conscious living.
Right.
They're more aware of what they're doing, and they want
unless
community.
They're using Roundup and that type
well,
of stuff on
their, and some people feel. Okay, so just because somebody's using Roundup, I feel like doesn't mean that they're living in their subconscious necessarily.
Yeah,
it's
that
just
means they're bad people.
No, we're not going to go there. It just means that maybe they haven't learned the negatives of it, because a lot of people don't even know what organic means, because you have to think some people are in their 20s, some people are like in their 30s or whatever. They've never looked into that. It's just part of what they
grew. It's about freaking time they do.
Well, if they're listening, maybe they will. But it's you don't know until you know. So some people may not even be aware that it's bad, because maybe their parents used it and they just think, oh, well, this is what you do.
No, and I get that. Like, go back 30, 40, 50 years ago. I get why, because that was kind of an era where people had, the times were, 30, 40 years ago, the times were just good enough to where I think most people...
And they were introducing that stuff then, and you would think, oh, this is the coolest new pair of sneakers, let's try them on. Because you don't know. Right. And then also, you start seeing the negatives 20 years later.
You also believed at that point, that the politicians, the government, were there for your good. They were looking out for your good.
Exactly.
So whatever rules and regulations they put in place have to be good.
It's like, oh, this is for my protection.
Yeah, it has to
it's like your mom and dad, trying to support you and help you. But we're just now really, truly coming into a time where most people are questioning things and opening their eyes and all of that, more so than what they did back then. Of course, there were hippies back in the day, that obviously conspiracy theorists that, were questioning things then.
Right.
But now it's more of everyone is almost on the same page of opening up. Not everyone, babe.
But there's a fair amount of them.
There's a lot more.
Right, there are a lot more.
But just because someone's using Roundup, don't make them a bad person. It just means they haven't looked into what that looks like, what it's doing to the soil, what it's doing to their body, and why it's not a good thing.
Right. Well, I guess I stand corrected. No, I'm not saying that, let's put it this way. If somebody did not ever look into Roundup, never saw any articles on it or whatnot, I can somewhat understand where maybe, they didn't fully understand what they were doing. Just because everyone else was doing it, then, it must not be a bad thing.
If your mom and dad taught you, this is how you do it, you're going to think that's how you do it until you see otherwise.
Well, and it's a little bit like this, that, okay, so if you grew up in that era thinking or believing that the government was obviously doing the right thing, because you didn't have all the information showing you in plain sight that they weren't actually doing the right thing. So then, you would tend to go along with what was popular, thinking that it was the right thing to do.
Right.
And not understanding that all the things that were being pushed for the last 100 years and became popular in the mainstream sector of life are pretty much all bad.
Exactly. Just like most people listening, more than likely don't even realize that, what is today, the 2nd? So yesterday was New Year. They don't even realize that that's a made-up New Year. That's a modern New Year. That's not even the real New Year. Exactly. The real New Year is actually in spring. So most things in our lives are based on lies, on twists, on things that aren't true, and illusions, and all of this stuff. And every single ounce of it goes back to homesteading, because homesteading is simply being I don't like using the word sovereign.
No.
But being your own independent.
That's better than citizen.
Right. But it's being your own independent person. It's having your freedom. It's having your home the way you want it.
It's just about being your whole your whole living self, your
Yeah.
whole living being, and being a healthy being
Exactly.
while you're doing
And
it,
if you're
while
not
you're
healthy,
being.
how the heck are you going to homestead?
Exactly. Well,
And if you're not spiritually connected and, living into, how do I want to word that? To me, like if you're connected to the universe, the higher power, the creator, God, whatever you want to call that.
right.
Not everyone's going to call it the same thing, and that's perfectly fine. But if you're not connected to that and you're
I
disconnected,
wouldn't go that far, but yes.
babe, if you're disconnected from source energy, I like to call it source energy, but if you're disconnected from that, how connected are you to your soil? How connected are you to your food? How connected are you to anything? So all of it goes together.
Exactly. And you know what? To go back to what you pointed out about some people call them creators, some call them source, or him, her, whatever. We don't even know if it's a him or a her, or if it's both. They're
Well, I
working
feel
in
like it's
conjunction with one
energy.
another.
I don't think
Right.
it's a
Energy. Right. Exactly.
Right.
But the point being is the God thing is simply dog spelled backward. That's what they did with the whole English language. They just they just threw words together.
Which
and
a dog is a dog is a man's best friend, though, right?
Well, that is true, but it doesn't.
No,
mean,
I know.
it
You're
doesn't
talking
mean,
about the wordplay.
Right.
You're talking about, like, we don't tell, you know how, like, when a baby is crying and they'll be like, oh, you poor little baby. You're conditioning with words, and we're getting on it. This is our rabbit trail now.
Right.
We're
That's
getting
fine.
off the path in the woods, and we're going down the hill.
I'm fine with that. That's
But-
where I.
But yeah,
function
we
best.
immediately caught ourselves, since we've done so much healing, both of us equally, we are very aware of what our words are doing. So we try to be cautious of that. And I caught myself one
I
day.
don't though. If you look on my
Well,
Facebook
if you look
page,
on his Facebook, you would think he don't even give caution to the wind when it comes to his words. But
well, I just thought I better put that out there because there's going to be some
Yeah.
critical minding people, thinking people that are going to be like, well, you just got done saying you're really aware of what you say and whatnot.
And then you go look on his Facebook,
Yeah.
and you're like, what in the
heck is happening here?
So, anyways, his Facebook is very vibrant.
Vibrant,
Yeah.
exactly.
But-
that's different. That's a whole different animal.
It's a different beast.
Than,
And this is also what I mean. Like, I don't control you on what you put on your Facebook. Do I agree with all of it?
Sure, she does.
Well,
Okay,
the
maybe
way
she
you
doesn't.
word things, I'm like, babe, you could probably tone that down just a little bit.
Right.
Just a smidgel.
And then I go back and I crank it up a notch or two.
If I say anything,
Ha.
if I'm like, I kind of think you should turn this down a little bit. The next day, there's like 17 posts that are like way more vibrant.
No, wait a minute though. I stopped doing that 3 years ago.
I'm just being exaggerated.
No, I know you are, but the whole point
But
is...
I'll let you be
I
you.
don't-
You let me be
Right.
me, and that's how it is.
Right.
And I do agree with what you're saying on your social
Right,
media.
you just
I
don't
don't
agree with
agree
how I
with
say
how you say it.
Exactly, but
because-
you know what? You know what? That was the whole principle of Jesus using the whip to get their attention.
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
definitely using your whip.
Exactly. If he would not have used the whip, there
Right,
was a reason
right.
why he used the whip, because the bastards weren't listening to him.
Right.
Okay, so then he used the whip. Okay, well that's not going to come across very well for some people because I just called those people bastards. Now they're thinking I'm calling them bastards. But anyway,
You're not calling them that.
the whole point of it is sometimes to get actually a
No,
lot
I
of
get
times
it. A lot of
to
times
get
because people are
people's
so
attention.
Yeah, they're so complacent. They're so
No.
stuck in their
No.
their subconscious. They're not paying attention,
It's
and
like
you
this.
got to snap them out of
It's
it.
like this. Okay, so you've got your favorite ox stuck in the mud, waist
Right.
deep.
Mhm.
Okay, so you go out there with your four-wheeler
Right.
and you're trying to pull this thing out of the mud. Well, it's not working. So what do? You go get a freaking helicopter and drag its ass out of there.
Right.
So this is where how I tend to look at things is
Yeah, and you're very passionate about it.
right is when you okay, so a lot of people are under the impression that we have to love people, blah blah blah. Okay, well that's good, but you also have to crack the whip at times, and it's not about me cracking
He
the
don't
whip.
mean physically,
Well,
just so
it's
you
not,
know.
it's not about cracking the whip to make yourself look better than those people.
No.
It's about cracking the whip to
get
get
them
their
to think.
attention.
Yeah, to
get
get them
them
to
to think because their conscious thinking has been so damaged over the years through the
Right.
generations. Their conscious thinking, their conscious awareness has been so damaged
Exactly.
that they're not even thinking, they're not even aware, thinking consciously anymore.
Right.
So the point being is the reason why that whip effect needs to be used from time to time is to get people to snap out of their subconscious thinking.
Right. And the reason you're so passionate about that subject is because I'm not going to use the word wasted, but spent a lot of years searching for what these same people are searching for. And so if you can help people fast track to get to that inner strength and their own voice and their own power instead of living in fear and searching for things outside of them, then you're going to do it because you know what it feels like to be
stuck,
toss and turn,
or to be questioning things, or to be wondering, to be wondering, well, is this, am I doing it right this time? Am I understanding? Am I comprehending this the right way?
Right.
And I feel like now I comprehend because of everything that I've been through. So going back to your point about the church being a good thing in some cases or whatever, I can agree with that to the extent that all of those things will work for our good if we don't get stuck in them.
Exactly.
If we get stuck
because
in
if
them,
you get stuck on the first step of the staircase and you
you're
don't
not
go
gonna
anywhere
any
else, what
further.
good is the staircase doing you?
Yeah, exactly. You're never going to get up to the
That was
second
actually
floor.
pretty good.
That was really good. So that is the point. Is that the church can be useful. It can be good, a good element to get us to move forward.
Because I know plenty of people that need that support and that community and those people.
However, if our interests are not to continue to move forward,
right,
to continue to heal internally more.
Yes.
If our intentions are not that, then we are being abused by the very source that helped us to begin with.
Exactly.
Because
now,
they helped us.
I do agree with.
They helped us to begin with, and now they're actually abusing us because they're not teaching us anything deeper.
And see, that's where I got stuck. Myself, not that I spent a lot of time going to church. I just did it if I had to kind of do it.
Right.
But there was my family probably don't even know this because I haven't really talked about it, but I actually scheduled times to speak with preachers on my own as an adult and ask questions, and they have no answers to the questions I had.
No, they don't.
It's some sugar-coated lollygoggy, whatever, hoopla boopla that makes no sense. And there was no answers to help with anything. So then you leave feeling even more lost. Or even worse, you feel like you're not worthy enough. Or, I just don't love God enough. So I don't have that feeling that these people have when they're hallelujah in the church. And so I never had that. Now, I started working at a crystal shop in Virginia and really getting into my spiritual self and really connecting with the universe on a deeper level and connecting with people that had the same feelings that I had about everything. And that's when I really got the answers I was looking for. And I made the next step, I made the next progress up. And that's what helped me. So, anyway.
Well, the thing is, when you go, so when you're first starting in, you're going to church, and it's helping, you feel like it's helping to some degree.
Yeah, because you're going there, everybody's full of love, everybody's happy,
but
everybody's
the point
singing.
Is, then at some point along that journey, whether it's 3, 5 years, 10 years into it, at some point, you have questions. So, like I did. And so, a couple years into it, I asked the pastor, which if there was any pastors of any church that I actually genuinely felt like he had the right heart, or the right, he meant well by what he was doing.
Because some of them truly do.
If there was anyone, it was the first church that I went to. And however, there were some questions that I had, and I forget exactly what those questions were. And I asked him because at that point I was actually looking up to him because of how nice he was, of how caring he seemed to be. And so therefore I really admired him. And so when I asked him about a question that I had in the Bible about, and I believe it was about taxation, where it talks about we should owe no man anything. Okay, anything means anything, right? Mm-hmm. So I forget if it was that verse or not. And either way, what it had to do with was, if I remember right, what it had to do with was that we should owe no man anything. And I had asked him about that verse, whatever verse that it had to do with. And he didn't have an answer for me.
Right.
So I remembered I was
Which I
only
wouldn't also,
I was
just
all
for the record, I wouldn't expect a preacher to have the answer to everything religion related.
it's
Just like I wouldn't expect a science teacher to know every question I would ask about science.
well
But
they
when
don't
they
know
can't
anything
even
about
answer
anything
the
anyway.
what I'm saying is when they can't even answer the basic things, at some point you're going to start,
Well, here's the thing.
seeing through the thing.
Here's the thing. What I mean, how many different ways can you look at that verse? Where it talks about uh I wished I could remember the exact verse because it was so plain. It was so
Right.
plain to me. Here I was new to all of this,
Yeah.
Christianity type of way of looking
Right,
at it.
because you had come from the
Yeah,
Amish and it was a little bit
and
different, a lot of bit
it
different.
jumped out at me. And so here he was in his 40s, 50s at the time, and I'm thinking, well, if he doesn't have the answer to that and he's been a preacher
Right.
most of his life,
Right.
how in the hell should I ever expect to know anything? So it
Right.
was
But
a
didn't you
huge
go to
hit.
school to be a preacher or something?
I did. I did.
I could not even
I was
imagine
officially
that.
ordained.
And you wouldn't even believe this, but we literally have more Christian books or religion books in this house right now than we can even fit in here.
Well, we could fit more in here, but I wouldn't want to.
Well, I mean, literally, I will do a video one day of all of the books on this subject. So it's not like he has his opinions on religion just willy nilly off the top of his hat. Is that even a thing that people say off
I
the top
don't
of their
know.
hat?
I mean, it's now. Now it is.
But it's not like this is just coming like, oh, I'm just not going to believe in
Exactly.
Christianity or believe in this or that.
It wasn't something that I
You've
just one day
done-
woke up to and said, you know what, I don't believe in this anymore
Right,
because
right.
I'm mad at the Christians. No,
Right. It has nothing to do with
no.
that. I have never in my life
No.
seen someone with so many books on this subject that I knew in person.
Right. And the truth of the matter is I didn't even read all throughout. I didn't even read all of them and study all of them that extensively. So it's not like I can say, well, I've got all these books and, I've extensively studied all of them.
But you have done
But
a lot
have,
of your life has been researching
I have
this
looked
stuff.
into it, and not just that. I've also listened to other people who did
Exactly.
their own research. So when they explained the questions that I had, like the question that I asked the pastor,
Right.
When they explained that question, and these were people that were not self-professing Christians of any sort,
Exactly.
and they didn't consider themselves to be heathens either. They just were.
Well, being a heathen actually isn't a bad thing.
Well, yeah, I know that's another topic for another day.
I know. We've got lots of topics we could go down.
But the whole point of it is that I listened to a huge variety of people,
from
with
Jordan Maxwell to other preachers,
talk show hosts, you name it, throughout the years. So it wasn't like I was getting my information or whatnot from one source. I was listening to a bunch of different sources, and then I was connecting the dots again.
Yeah.
I was connecting the dots, and if something made sense, then it connected. If it
Right.
didn't make sense, it didn't connect. And so therefore, that's how I came about believing what I currently believe. And, that's just basically believing that, we don't need any of this external stuff.
No, we
don't.
really don't. The whole thing about, having our homestead and stuff is about love. It's about positive feelings. It's about strength.
How can you love without Jesus?
Babe, you're gonna get us in trouble. No, I'm just kidding. But and I do feel. I mean, I don't want to keep going down the religion thing because that's not what this topic was supposed to necessarily be about. Even though it still
I do
goes.
enjoy talking about. This
I know
topic.
you do, and I know you do. It's
Right.
it's your cup of tea
Right.
for sure. But I do think I'm not even going to go where I was going to go with that. But having your homestead, it's about doing everything intentionally to me. I mean, I know homesteading can have a many array of definitions and look different and
Right.
all of that. But for us, it's about being cautious of what we're doing and
Be cautious and conscious. of what
conscious.
we're
I meant to
doing.
say conscious of what we're doing. I'm still not feeling very well.
Oh, I know. I'm
I'm a
over
little-
here faltering in
Yeah.
my own itchy throat and all of that good stuff.
Right.
But,
So, and I've got pneumonia, so I'm taking medication for that.
well,
and,
you had pneumonia,
well,
but you're
we're getting
almost-
rid of it. We're not
Right.
claiming it. So, anyways, I know I'm not up to par, but what I'm trying to say is having a homestead for us, what it looks like is to be as organic as we can. Of course, we're not going to be perfect all the time. It's about our independence and being our
own politician, being our own governor, being our own basically everything. Okay,
right. We have our own strength, our own power. We're not trying to live in fear. We're standing in who we are.
Exactly.
We're standing in our authority. We're not trying to get answers from everybody else, on what we should think or what we should do or how we should dress or what we should, whatever. We want ideas on how to do things better.
Exactly.
But we're not trying to get answers outside of ourselves for how we feel that life should look.
Right.
We're going to homeschool Emerald. We want to teach her about the herbs and all that stuff. She's not going to be watching Disney. We're doing things so different.
And as far as looking for answers outside of ourselves, I don't think that that's a bad thing.
That's not a bad... No, it's not.
No. Where I was going to go with that is, like I was saying before, I listened to other people who did extensive research on their own.
Right.
And then broke it down.
You.
And they had the answers that they discovered. Then
if it resonates
right.
and it sticks with you.
Well, not just if it resonates. Sure. That's one of the main points too. But it's also if there's factual evidence of what they're saying.
Yeah.
Of what they're saying.
Because everything Jordan Maxwell says, you can go look it up for yourself.
Exactly.
And you can be like, oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Well, and he's got literal evidence.
Just like what just like a lot of the Christians, and I don't know, maybe it's changed now since I was a teenager. I don't know. Or young in my 20s. I haven't been to church in a long time.
You're going to hell then.
Well, thank you. You can go with me. I think you got his first row seats, I think.
I probably will.
But so what was I? Oh yeah, Elohim. He says that, God, that actually means Elohim, which means many gods. So when you just that one thing alone,
Elohim is plural.
Many gods.
So it means many gods. It doesn't mean
one God.
One God. Exactly.
So and I don't even want to get down that right now.
I do. I
don't right now because we're coming up on,
I know, but
people are falling off the wagon.
They're not falling off the wagon. They're still with us.
But just that one thing alone, though, should make some of these people. I don't like saying these people. Right, you know what I mean. No, it should have people question things a little bit.
Exactly.
And it's not that we're trying to stir the pot.
Oh, I am.
Well, I'm trying to stir the cauldron. But it's not that we're trying to disrupt people's lives and make it worse. We're trying to show people the illusion that is out there so that we can all
so that we can all
stronger.
Collectively rise.
Yes, if we all awareness. As a collective could do better, could raise our vibration, could get on the right frequency and stop being in this fearful frequency, our whole entire world would be so much better.
It would be. And I think it will be eventually.
It will be. But it's going to take these conversations. Right. It's going to take an open heart. It's going to take open-mindedness. And it's going to take forgiveness. And that's what they all... I hate when I do that. I hate when I say they, like I'm grouping.
Exactly.
But it's going to take everyone to do that and to question our belief systems and get on the same page. Or similar pages.
I would agree with most of that, except I don't believe in forgiving anyone.
No, I fully believe in forgiveness. And this is a subject
I'm just trying to...
Well, I know you're trying to stir my ruffles. But this is something that... Forgiveness is something I was thinking about last night when I couldn't sleep because whatever. Right. But, when my whole mental health struggles and what I went through, I was constantly told, well, you have to forgive them. You have to forgive them. You have to... No, I still to this day disagree with that. I did not heal fully until I forgave myself. Forgiveness is forgiving yourself.
Exactly.
It's forgiving you. Because when you forgive yourself and you can truly let yourself feel peace, then you're naturally going to forgive the one that hurt you.
Exactly. Well, it's like this.
And I just got chills because you're going to see it from their perspective.
If we don't forgive ourselves first.
Just like if we don't love ourselves.
If we don't forgive ourselves first and love ourselves first.
You're not going to do it for others.
No, you're not going to do it for
others. So
forgiveness,
when I say forgiveness, I'm talking about forgiving yourself. I'm talking about going within and truly doing that inner work, releasing that guilt, and then you're naturally going to forgive. Just like I talked to I'm not going to put names out there because it's not...
I wish you would.
Babe, it's not my place to... I'm at a place where I don't feel like I need to throw someone under the bus in order for me to feel okay.
No, but I do.
Now,
I do
5
like,
years
I
ago,
do like throwing people under
5
the
years
bus,
ago,
so.
I would have felt amazing calling everybody out that did
Right,
anything
right.
to me, but I'm not at that point anymore.
I'm still right there.
healed. Babe, shut up. I'm going to throw a shoe at you. But what I'm saying is, we actually had a conversation for about 2 hours with the person that caused a lot of my trauma. Me and you both talked to them on the phone for
Right.
about 2 hours,
Right.
and I was fine doing it. And that's the first time I've talked to them since I was a teenager. So I have come a long way. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't genuinely and authentically forgive that person. But I would have never forgave them had I not done it for
Forgiving
myself.
yourself.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy when you say that, because it's like, well, why do I need to forgive myself for something someone else did to me?
Exactly.
You know?
I mean, and I always thought that too until I really did the inner work. And when I really did the inner work, I realized I had blamed myself for so much stuff.
Right.
And when you let that go and you truly love who you are, then you're going to feel that for other people, because it lets you see things from another perspective. Right. So then I was able to see things from a bird's eye view, and I could see why this person was acting the way they did when I was younger. I could see that. And then it just shifts something in you to where you can just let it go easier.
It does. But, it's crazy that it works that way, because you would think the way that it should work is if somebody did you wrong, especially in the way that you were treated, if somebody does you wrong in that way, one would think that the way that, and this is the way that it would make the most sense, if that person that did the wrong would come and apologize first.
Right, you would think that's how it would work.
But the problem is...
And I still haven't had an apology. And I'm not looking for one.
Right,
I don't need one.
Right, but the problem is with that theory is that you can't force someone else to apologize.
Right.
So now you're left with yourself.
Exactly.
Because you can't force another person to apologize no matter what they did to you. So now we have to go within ourselves and forgive ourselves for not having been able to do anything about that when it did
for
happen.
not standing up for ourselves, for not speaking our
truth.
truth.
But you were too young to even stand up for
yourself.
yourself.
I probably could have, but I was scared, obviously.
Well,
and
yeah,
I didn't want, and I
young.
was also a people pleaser. I didn't want to ruin other people's lives and blah, blah, blah.
You were far too young to stand up for yourself at that point.
But the whole thing is, to us, that's what homesteading is. This is a long road to homesteading, how it all ties together, but it all ties together. Everything in this world is literally connected.
In one way or the other.
It all is.
It is.
Everything's tied together.
Some things are more subtly tied in, and some things are more obviously tied in.
Right.
So,
of course, this podcast is going to talk about religion, spirituality. It's going to talk about that because that's part of who we are. We're going to
talk about everything because
it's going to talk about vaccines. It's going to talk about all the things that pushes everybody's envelopes. Exactly. And that is the whole point, because these are the things that we're passionate about. And I mean, that's just what it is. And we hope that even if you don't fully believe everything that we say, that you'll stick around and, contribute to the conversation and let us know.
And maybe you'll say something that will make us see things different.
Yeah, because we don't know everything, obviously.
Well, I mean, we do, but we're not going to tell anybody that. But the whole point of it is that we can all learn from each other. Yes, and
that's what we want to do.
If other people actively participate. But if other people, for whatever reason...
Yeah, and I know not everybody's going to want to be completely open, and talk about whatever, but they can always message or whatever.
Well, that, and they can listen, share, whatever. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's all contributing in some way or another.
We could talk about what our homestead dream is, what that looks like. Like, we want to have a large property. It don't have to be a giant property. We want 100 acres.
At least 100 acres.
We really want 100 acres. And the reason we want so much is because we do want to build a community that people can thrive on, and it not just be about us. So if we had 100 acres, we would be able to do the...
Well, there's a bunch of different things we could do. I mean, there's like in this area particularly, there's a gazillion maple trees we could have.
Yeah, we want to be able to have maple trees.
And then we
want to
have like a whatever you want to call it, polygamy. No, it's not polygamy.
Stop! I told you I'm not doing that. You're going to give people the wrong idea.
But we could have like a community type deal.
Yeah, just a community with people that struggled like us.
Exactly.
Because I've never been able to, well, I don't know. I've been through so much stuff in my life that I haven't really had someone said, hey, here's a little cabin on this plot of land. You can have a garden, you can do whatever, and you can help out as much as you can in place of living here.
Right.
That would have saved
It
me
would have made
so
a
much
difference.
it would have saved
It
me
would have
so
done the same
much
for me.
trouble in my life. But, and I don't know. Maybe eventually I'll get into some of the stuff that I've been through in my life, from literally living out of my car to just bunker shit.
I was almost there.
I mean, just bunker stuff that I've been through in my life. A lot of it was my own decisions, my own unhealed self that got me to those places. I do have a family that loves me. I do have support. But when you're spiraling out of control, you don't typically go to those people.
No, because you don't want to burden them.
Yeah, and you also don't really... They get a glimpse of maybe how things were, but they didn't fully understand what was truly going on inside of my head.
Right.
Because my trauma that I went through, no one knew. Not a single soul on this planet knew.
Of course not, because they didn't know what actually happened.
Except for the person that... The people. There was people that did things. No one else knew until I was already in my 30s. So that crap was locked up inside of me. So when you hold on to that kind of stuff, decisions happen that you wouldn't have, like those decisions that I made back then, I would have never made it now. I'd be like, good Lord. I think of my old self, like, who the hell was that? Like, I can't even associate with that person anymore.
Right.
Like, it feels like I've split my life in half.
Well, it's kind of the same way it is for me, being Amish and then leaving the Amish. It's like my life was somewhere, it was split in half, and probably the time that I left. And it's like I lived two different lives.
Right.
And in a sense, I have.
And that's how I feel. I feel like I've had a bazillion chapters in my life, but I feel like I've literally had... I'm two separate people, basically. Because the person that I was 5 years ago, and those decisions I made 5 years ago, now as a rational thinker... that's healed, that's not living in trauma, it still baffles me, the stuff that I did. It still baffles me.
Two separate people.
Right.
Because Jesus lives in you and you live in him.
Babe, stop that.
Oh, sorry. Well, I'm just saying. I mean, the whole thing is...
Well, we're not trying to be rude.
No, I'm not being rude.
Well, that would probably come across rude.
Well, if it comes across rude, that's got to be on somebody else, because it wasn't coming from me.
It came out of your mouth.
It did come out of my mouth, but I was merely...
We're not mimicking or mimicking. I need to go to bed.
I was totally momming.
We're not mimicking people.
No, I wasn't.
No,
I
don't want to make fun of people.
Was I making fun of somebody?
I don't know. It seemed like
okay, so you're judging me for something that I had no intentions of. Okay. I was making fun of the concept.
Right, now
I wasn't even really making...
I get what you're saying. I wasn't even really making fun.
I was making light of the concept.
I know. And he does like to do that, and it's fine. Right. But, no, it does feel like, I've been two different people. But I keep getting off on these random things because, this stuff that I'm dealing with right now with this cold or pneumonia. But anyways... With 100 acres, we would be able to put little cabins out there, yurt, stuff like that. Right. We would be able to give people that have struggled and just have a hard time, that have the same vision and the same desires, a space to heal, a space to really get out of fight or flight and to contribute.
And that's all well and good. And I've had the same vision.
Yeah, because we've talked about this a million times.
So I've had that same goal, that same... thing that I want to do. But here's the other thing, though. When you're dealing with unhealed people...
Yeah, you got to be careful with how you do it.
Exactly.
And those details would be, we don't even have the land. We don't even have the means to do it right now. So those details would come at that point. But that's why we want a big homestead with 100 acres so we can do that. Right. So we can also... have a huge garden that we could supply the community with, fresh organic stuff. We could do programs where we teach people how to do permaculture, where we teach people how to do organic things. We can teach about herbs and all of these things that we're really, really passionate about. If we had a bigger property, we'd be able to do that. And so that's what our ultimate goal is. So
basically what you're trying to say.
And plus I want some reindeer.
So basically what you're trying to say is somebody that has like 500 to 1,000 acres. It's
Not
going to
even.
listen to
They
this
wouldn't even
podcast.
need. Well,
They're going to listen to this podcast.
Yeah, and they're going to be like, "Here you go, sir, ma'am."
Yeah, here's a couple hundred acres.
Yeah, have fun. And here's your $100,000.
More like $1 million, but anyway.
We don't even. But that's what our goal is.
Right.
We could have, some horses. We could have just everything, and it could just be a sustainable homestead that actually contributes to the community.
And even if that doesn't happen, we're still going to get there at some point. It's just not maybe going to be as quick as we would like to, but eventually
we're working. We're working on, those things.
We're working on the railroad.
We're working on the railroad. But that's why we want a bigger property. That's what our ultimate goal is to be able to do that. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what else to say for this episode.
There's a lot of things we
could say. There's a lot of things we could say.
But the point is, we're at, what are we at right now? I mean, we're not even a freaking half hour.
Well, I don't know that everybody wants to spend an hour with us.
No, but what I'm saying is even if they don't, they can shut us off at 5 minutes if that's how they feel. But what I'm not getting is we were here for a whole heck of a lot longer than 26 minutes. Why is this thing at 26? Did you start it over?
No, but now I'm going to have to edit all this out.
No, you're not. Leave it in there. Let me get those rats. But yeah.
Well, I'm going to pause it for a second because I need to...
Okay, we'll pause it.